So I wanted to do kind of a general update on the state of affairs with regards to the ongoing genocide in Gaza. I know that people have a very short attention span, but what is happening right now is actually happening like on an incredibly quick timescale. People, I can already see people getting kind of tired of it. It's like, oh, it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. Yeah, I know. Wars last years. This will not last years. Gaza is not a separate opposing nation. It's a concentration camp that Israel built the borders around and is now slowly purging from the north down. Some photos have been released. CNN published these, so no Hamas lie whining here. Gaza before, Gaza after. Gaza before, Gaza after. You can really see the highly targeted precision strikes, the U.S.-built weapons Israel is using, which can hit targets within a range of just a couple dozen feet, really coming in handy here for these extremely targeted, with the surgical precision of a barbarous genocidal monster. Yeah, you see, it's actually this entire city was actually a secret Hamas base. Yeah, it's really, really bad. It looks like it's been nuked. Honestly, yeah. The level of indiscriminate destruction rivals photos of like Hiroshima or Mariupol in Ukraine, where it doesn't even look like there was a point. It just looks like the effort was to level as much space as possible. It is so difficult to look at this and maintain in your head the impression that Israel is engaging in some kind of targeted and proportional response. It's simply not possible. What's more, we have a sort of updated death toll, though this is now at this point 2 days old. The health ministry in Gaza, which New York Times has helpfully prefixed with Hamas run, has released a list of 6,747 people it said has been killed in Israel's relentless bombardment of the Palestinian territory in retaliation for the Hamas-led raid on October 7th that killed more than 1,400 people in Israel. They released a document with the name, age, and ID numbers of that many people, which included about 2,500 children. Now, again, fog of war, impossible to know anything for sure. However, in terms of like methods of credibly getting across how many people have died, a full registry with everyone's name and ID number is a pretty convincing one. That's pretty good. In fact, I think, hold on, Gaza death count document with that, because they literally just released the raw document. You can see all the names. Would I be able to find it just by Googling, or would, as is always the case, I have to spend several flow-breaking minutes going over it? You know what, chat? You can find it. Just find me the damn thing when you find it. The Human Rights Watch also agrees with the health ministry. Nice. Yeah, now, right before this list came out, here we go. Right before this list came out, Biden publicly expressed doubt on the number of people who have been killed in Gaza. I think he said offhandedly in a speech, like, we don't even know if those numbers are right, or something like that. I think that's pretty sickening. Now, he did say that before this got released, admittedly, but he is the president. He has significantly more information than we do. We can only really begin to guess at the intel he receives. It is disgusting. Yeah, see page 9 of 212. Now, I have doubted the death count at the hospital strike that we went over specifically, because it beggars belief. 500 people with like no blood or bodies present at that explosion site. We might not get the full, like super specific, detailed list of everything that has happened at every single point over the course of this conflict for a while, if we ever do get it. But what we do know, for sure, with great confidence, is that the death and destruction is monstrously large. The number of people Hamas killed in Israel has already been paid in blood twice over in Gaza, just counting children who have been killed. Just children. Twice over, just children. You add the adults, it's 5 times over? 5 times over. And it's only going to get worse. The ground invasion hasn't even happened yet. It seems Israel has been waiting for something. My guess is they're waiting for more U.S. backing and intel with regards to potential for retaliation from Hezbollah. That's just a guess. There are probably a number of things. I'm guessing that on one hand, Netanyahu is upset that this attack has not led to the Israeli people rallying behind him as a strongman because that's, he wanted this. Netanyahu wanted all of this to happen. This is something that he's been planning for and waiting for a long time. And I don't think it's going quite how he wanted, so it's possible there's some trepidation there. Obviously, they want American support. From what I've heard, the ground invasion kind of started today. Has it? Has it begun? Updated 2 minutes ago. Well, we love our breaking news here, don't we, folks? Hamas vows full force after Israel steps up Gaza ground invasion. Widened its air and ground attacks in the Palestinian enclave. The Palestinian military group said Gaza's fighters clashing with Israeli troops in areas near the border with Israel after Israel reported intensified attacks in Gaza. Looks like they're beginning to move in then. So there we go. The death count will no doubt rise from here. They have cut all communications to Gaza. Before, they were working with no power coming from the outside. Now there is just a full information dead zone. Gaza is internet and cell service cut off as Israeli airstrikes build. No witnesses. There are journalists who are no contact now. There are literally Western journalists that are in Gaza. It's like, well, you can't get anything out. The only reason they're doing this is because they want to kill a great many people and they don't want there to be photos or videos. The ground troops will sweep through and will kill and cover up bodies, prevent information from getting out. That's the whole point. They're maximizing the potential for death and minimizing the potential for coverage. It is as overtly evil as can be, because this is all happening so quickly. Listen to this. Rolling Stone reached out to a half dozen sources throughout Gaza at major institutions and in private homes. None of the calls went through. So even Western, this isn't like, oh, people can't get their calls through if there's some poor Palestinian. No, this is like nobody. You need to have special localized infrastructure to be able to get information out because, again, like cell signals being blocked, that shit doesn't run on magic. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society, a humanitarian organization affiliated with the International Red Cross, which provides critical emergency medical aid in the region, said they have, quote, completely lost contact with the operation room in the Gaza Strip and all our teams operating there. And through all of this, Western media institutions are still terrified to say what Israel is doing. I've seen multiple news articles now that have said stuff like 27 UN officials killed in battle between Hamas and Israel, or 6 journalists dead in Gaza. Let me put it this way, okay? If Hamas went out there in open air and killed a bunch of Western journalists, no news article would say journalists killed in Gaza. They would say Hamas killed them. But Israel is just indiscriminately airstriking and missile striking the Gaza Strip, and Western media institutions, so terrified of being called anti-Semitic, are just like, people just are dying over there. We lost 27 journalists just died. It could have been a heart condition, could have been who knows? Who could possibly know? Did you hear about Zvi Yezgili claiming the murder of a journalist's family was targeted? I would have to look more into that. Though we know for a fact that the IDF is totally okay with assassinating, Western journalists. So that's not surprising in any way, shape, or form. Died spontaneously in a confusing and non-specific fashion. Correct. Exactly. Thank you. It is monstrous. The death toll as of yesterday had been counted to 7,000. The number is going to keep going up and up. Vaush, a Christian Palestinian, called into the majority report today and said 11 of his extended family have been killed in a bombing of the third oldest Christian church in the world. Yes. We often talk about Palestinians in the context of them being like Muslim, this being like a Muslim versus Jew thing. There are some Christian Palestinians, and because they're in the Holy Land, these Christian Palestinians, their bloodlines date back essentially to Christ. There is probably literally no ethnic connection more directly descendant of Christ than these. They're Christians who have lived in the Holy Land, like family to family, generation to generation, since Christ. Again, I'm not religious, but there's a lot of cultural significance there. That's meaningful. If for no other reason than anthropology. That's not nothing. There are even Jewish Palestinians. Yeah, of course. There are no essential religious associations. Okay. You might recall that about a week ago, Time isn't real. I don't know exactly how long ago it was, but it feels like it was a week ago. Israel ordered in 24 hours for about 1 million people north of, in the northern part of the Gaza Strip to migrate down south. Now, obviously, this order was fulfilled by some, but not by many. It is simply not possible to move 1 million people down that quickly, that distance, with essentially no infrastructure. It's just not possible. Many people are still in the north, in the city of Gaza, in the Gaza Strip. Again, the city of Gaza is an area that the IDF has politely asked everyone to leave. The largest hospital, the Al-Shifa Hospital in the Gaza Strip, is in the city of Gaza. You can see a cute little map right here, right there. Notice how large it is? Again, the Gaza Strip is a very dense area. So you can see that the hospital grounds actually constitute a significant proportion of the width of the Gaza Strip. It's multiple city blocks. This is the primary hospital in the Gaza Strip. We don't know exact numbers, but apparently a large number of people are currently housed there, terrified of, let's get those photos up again, of this. This is also Gaza, by the way. See, typically, when your opponents are following the rules of war, one of the things that you're not supposed to do is bomb hospitals, because hospitals are where wounded and even healthy civilians go to not get bombed. Since this is happening to areas of Gaza that are not hospitals, I presume many people living here decided they would be safer in the hospital grounds. Obviously, Israel does not give a shit, despite the fact that, according to some reports, there were in excess of 10,000 people huddled at that hospital. Again, it's a large ground, many buildings. That's physically possible. We don't know, fog of war, but a lot of people are probably there. They're going to bomb it. Netanyahu posted this just today. Hamas-ISIS is sick. Really, really selling this one. They turn hospitals into headquarters for their terror. We just released intelligence proving it. Here it is. And the here it is a 3D render of a Saddam Hussein hiding in a pit in the ground under the hospital ass animation. We have the proof. This presents a crayon drawing. There it is. They found this exact room underneath this hospital. I like how this apparently this incredibly advanced Israel intelligence report revealed that the Hamas base consists of like 5 rooms, all of which could comfortably house maybe 10 people, and a bunch of tunnels leading to nowhere. My camera is covering it, but you can see in the bottom right that they were just like, how do we make these rooms look threatening? I know. Let's stack a bunch of 7-foot-tall missiles just on the floor, and also I bet Hamas has a range of guns on the wall, like at a gun shop. Like that's how Hamas, the ragtag terrorist group in the Gaza Strip, would store their munitions, you know? Yeah, we just have our 7-foot-tall missiles stacked down here in tight corridors where we couldn't use machinery to lift and remove them. Where are these missiles meant to be fired from? Who knows? Why do they have so many different guns arranged here in like an ornamental fashion? I don't know. But Israeli intelligence assures us that it looks exactly like this. Shoot the red barrels. Yeah, they really were. All this needed was red barrels for it to be like a Resident Evil level. Like you enter the hospital where the zombies have run amok, and then you go down and it's like, oh, well, here's the lab where the virus was released. There was red barrels. Did I miss them? Oh, you're right, I did. Oh my goodness. I was so busy looking at the gun room, I forgot this is where Hamas stores its red barrels. This is where they place them next to their fortifications, so that it's like you could wait for them to pop up and headshot all of them, or you like shoot the barrel. You see a little bit of it like right behind the sandbags, you know? Yeah, where's the save room? You know? Is this all on one checkpoint? Does it just like boot you back to the start? The flag room has to be the save room. Yeah, you can see how large these hospital grounds are. This big white border. Now, Hamas denies that they are using this hospital as a base. Israel is insisting they're using it as a base. Why? Because the IDF wants to drink Palestinian blood. They want to bathe in it. They want to blast this into powder from orbit, and then all the IDF soldiers can sort of swim around in a big pool made of it. It is a degree of bloodthirstiness that is genuinely like impossible to fathom. It's incomprehensible. It's insane. Yeah, they want to snort that shit. Now, whether or not Hamas actually has a base under the hospital is, let's be clear, completely irrelevant. Okay, so this is always like the human shields argument. It's like Hamas uses human shields. They build their bases under civilian infrastructure, which, yeah, they do. They're a terrorist group. Obviously, they do. They're not going to like build their infrastructure in a gigantic separate building with "please missile strike us" on it. However, like, imagine if it's like a bank robbery and it's like, oh, the robbers are taking human shields, and then one robber comes out and in front of him he is sort of hogtied 20,000 civilians together into a big cube, and the cops are like, shit, guess we have no choice. And they just start like several hours of just mowing their way through this giant brick of meat before they finally make their way to the one. Like, that is the level we're on right here. If you tell me Hamas is shored up underneath the hospital, that's great. Tough problem. Sorry. You can't just kill everyone and everything, you know? There are terrorists hiding out on Earth, you know? There are limits to acceptable proportional destruction. This is insane. Yeah, the whole point of the human shield thing is that you don't just murder the human shield. Like, the reason human shields are supposed to be like a bad thing to use is because of the moral conflict of killing the civilians. But there is no moral conflict to the IDF because they don't care. They don't view Palestinian people as civilians. The best case scenario is that they all view them as complicit in Hamas's behavior, which is wrong, and the definition of collective punishment, which is a war crime. The worst possible interpretation is that they don't think Palestinians are human, which a lot of them just don't. You take a look at Israeli propaganda and Israeli messaging when it comes to the Palestinian people. Certainly, you take a look at their behavior when it comes to their treatment of Palestinian people. A lot of them just don't think Palestinians are human. Anyway, let's finish this stupid 3D render. Our intel has constructed this Gmod map to. We have trained our IDF personnel on the exact hallways. You know, where you can get the ammo and which crates have the health pickups in them, and which ventilation shafts you can unscrew to find like bonus EXP inside. Here we go. Hamas underground complex marked in red here. You might notice that conveniently the Hamas underground complex seems to be spread out and diffused widely, meaning that any airstrike done against the hospital would be you know, in the ballpark of where the red lines have been drawn. You might also note that this makes no sense because it's an underground complex. What do you mean when you say it's here? Do you mean like there's a large room under here and then there's a smaller room here and they connect underground through tunnels? What does it mean to have an underground complex where above ground you're marking out these like building-sized chunks? Are you suggesting that there's one room that is the size of this entire massive building? What does this mean? It means nothing. It's all of this is fake. Literally, they just made it up. Some Israel government official, IDF guy, whatever, they literally just drew it, like on a map. Like, there's no connection between intel and this. Is Hamas stationed there? Maybe, but that doesn't mean they're not just making this up. They literally keep saying, we'll show you after the invasion. Yeah, and they cut comms. They cut telephone lines. So now they get to send their soldiers in through the north. They get to wipe out Gaza. And who's to second guess them? Who's to second guess them? The number of UN staff killed in Gaza has increased to 53 after 14 lost their lives in the past 24 hours. Jesus Christ. Like, it's like a horror show on the world stage. We have lost touch with our colleagues in Gaza. I'm extremely concerned about their safety. Another night of unspeakable horror for 1 million children in Gaza. All humanitarians and the children and families they serve must be protected. We have lost touch with our staff in Gaza, with health facilities, health workers. Like, it's dark. It's dark. The whole Gaza Strip is just dark now. Anything could be happening right now at this moment. And the Western world permits this. The Western world allows this to happen. The journalists are too cowardly to call out the people doing the killing. You know, even this language sanitizes the involvement of Israel. We have lost touch with our colleagues in Gaza. No, Israel cut contact. It didn't just happen. Gaza has lost contact with the outside world amid reports of intensified bombardment. Why are they not naming? Gaza is under tense bombing. Telecommunications have been cut out. Who did it? Who did the bombing? Who did the telecommunications cutting? Like, it's insane. Absolutely psychotic. Like we were literally like sleepwalk. Well, like the dust is going to settle. The cell blockage is going to be cleared, and it's going to be like the IDF. Unironically, the IDF is going to be like, oh yeah, sorry, Hamas killed 1,000 UN workers, Red Cross workers, journalists, and everyone else. We tried to stop them. Hamas are barbaric. And then we're like, and then literally like, and then there's going to be like a giant pile of dead Westerners, like stacked in a corner, all of which are riddled with like IDF munitions. And all the journalists who go there after the dust is settled are going to go there, look at that, and then be too scared to comment on it. Like the blatant evil on display here is insane. Absolutely insane. You know, it really calls to question. People are like, oh, do you condemn Hamas? I don't care. Do you condemn Israel? Do you condemn any of this? Because this isn't just like the normal opinion for a Western leader or journalist is to just be passively accepting to openly endorsing all of this. Like to find people endorsing Hamas, you either have to go to certain Arab groups in the Middle East, who also really Israel. If you're in the West, you have to find like what? Some lunatic student groups and a few YouTubers. But who endorses the slaughter of significantly more Palestinians and Western journalists, humanitarian aid workers? Well, that's like everyone. Everyone's fine with that, actually. Everyone's totally fine with that. It's genuinely it is insane. It's actually insane. And you know what? I'm going to pull this. I'm going to pull this one for sure. I am, you know, I think that like this is like a moral high ground that we can no longer hold with regards to Ukraine, Russia. Okay. Fully support Ukraine, fully support the Palestinians. But what Israel is doing and poising to do right now genuinely is like as bad as the more monstrous reports of what Russia has done. Like what is happening here is so egregiously blatant. And what's more, Russia is much more reserved when it comes to killing our people, because Russia understands, as much as they posture, if they started just randomly like killing Westerners, you know, like deliberately targeting UN workers or aid workers or whatever, like full on, just flat out, just like going after them, you know? First of all, the West would condemn it, unlike what they're doing here in Israel. But second of all, Russia is fully aware of the fact that, you know, as much as they like to play the bad guy, there are limits to what they can get away with. Like, they threaten to nuke the world every other day, but they're aware of the fact that, you know, it would actually be pretty bad for them if they started like pushing that line too hard. It'd actually be pretty rough, you know? That's a tough line to walk. Israel does not give a shit. Israel is fully of the impression they can kill as many people as they want. Palestinians, Westerners, they do not give a shit. Any number of people, because we won't call them on their bluff. Even though Israel is entirely propped up by the West, a British territory cleared, genocided of Palestinians for their benefit, stocked, armed, funded, defended, protected at every level by countries that just want to use it as an extended military base and a wedge in Middle Eastern politics. And they are so arrogant. They are so arrogant. They have deluded themselves into believing that because they have, you know, the Iron Dome, the real wall of protection they've built for themselves is American complacency. That's the real Iron Dome. You know, what does Iron Dome do? Shoots down little bottle rockets or whatever. America shields them from the international consequences of their behavior. And we've been doing it for decades. And this is what we get. This is what we get. The Hitler particles, they concentrate and they build and they build and they build and they build and they build. And then you get shit like this. Where's that clip? Where's that clip? Give me the clip. I say to myself, because I have the clip. But I have many tabs. Here we go.
I just want to ask you then about something else he said in his speech, which is about the collective punishment, as he put it, of the Palestinian people. And I want to talk about that in the context of the blockade and keeping fuel out of Gaza. I just wonder if you think that that is really necessary.
You know, I'm very puzzled by the constant concern which the world and also Britain, I must say, Mark, is showing for the Palestinian people. and is
Right off the bat, we're going to break this down bit by bit. I am concerned by the support the world is showing for the Palestinian people. Not Hamas, Palestinian people. Said right there, former UN rep, Israel's permanent rep to the UN, from, I think, like 2000 to 2008, I think.
actually showing for these horrible, inhuman animals who have done the worst atrocities that this century has seen,
And
the
then,
worst atrocities that Jews.
without ever mentioning Hamas, goes right from Palestinian people to animals. That's it. UN rep. Guys, this guy isn't just a Netanyahu supporter. This was the guy they were like, oh, he's reasonable and diplomatic enough. We'll make him a UN diplomat. This isn't just like some random IDF-loving Israeli politician. These are the people they send to message out to us.
Have suffered since the Holocaust. I mean, you know, when the United States reacted to 9/11, I don't remember people shedding tears for the Taliban or Al-Qaeda. Your country, Mark, actually Britain.
What happened after 9/11? Hey, what foreign policy did America engage in after 9/11 that people permitted at the time because of a sort of collective dehumanization of the ethnic and religious groups? Not even the ethnic and religious groups, okay? Osama bin Laden was from the House of Saud. He's Saudi Arabian. It's like invade Iraq. Like what? And so what happened? What happened afterwards? What happened afterwards? Did anything bad happen?
Actually joined them and even sent your royals to fight in Afghanistan. When the Ukrainians reacted to Russia's invasion, I don't remember people worrying about the poor Russian soldiers and whether they had enough food. All of a sudden, when it comes to Israel, everybody is becoming a great humanitarian, totally forgetting what happened 2.5 weeks ago.
You might notice here that he is using the word humanitarian as a slur. Like, seriously, that's how he's using it. He's using it contemptuously. Like, oh, look at everyone in the West becoming humanitarian now that we're bombing Gaza. He is speaking with the sort of unfiltered evil and contempt of like a classic Bond villain. Like this is genuinely the level of evil that it kind of defies this. Okay, you know how every once in a while you see a clip from like Iranian state TV or like the Kremlin, and you see like a Russian official say something so stupidly monstrous that it's like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Like how are they getting away with that? Okay. The difference is that Russia and Iran are on bad terms with the West. Israel is an American ally. This shit is coming from people who are not only sort of tolerant of us. We don't just have like because like Saudi Arabia, we're not like allies with Saudi Arabia. It's more like, we need our oil. It's not good, but it's not like we like each other. With Israel, there's this like pretense of mutual love and collaboration that's persisted for decades. And this is still the rhetoric we're getting. This is still the level we're on. It's worse than you think. Like, I was going to make this a separate segment, but I'm not even going to. I'm just going to add it in here. Okay. Okay. Have any of you guys seen on Twitter this trend of Israeli TikTokers who are doing makeup challenges where they make themselves look like Palestinians who have been shot or bombed? And it's like, haha, look at these stupid fakers or whatever. I don't know how common it is exactly, but it's common enough to explain what we're about to look at. A conspiracy theory in Israel is that the Palestinians are faking it. It's basically like the exact same thing as, I'm trying to think of something so evil that it's comparable. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, I'm kind of coming up on a blank a little bit here. Sorry. Yeah, the joke is like, the idea that a lot of Israeli people seem to have is that the Palestinian people are like, they have the same attitude towards the Palestinian people that extremely racist white guys had towards black slaves 200 years ago, where they thought that like slaves were living on the white man's patronage and they were living like lives of whimsy and carefree lack of responsibility because, oh, they have to do some work, but they get free accommodations and blah, blah, blah. It's literally like the minstrel show idea of what slavery was, where it's like, oh yeah, what do slaves do? Well, they like fuck each other. They go around the plantation. It's beautiful out and they like eat watermelons or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, haha. That it's literally that attitude towards the Palestinians, where it's like the Palestinians get everything from us. We give them their food, we give them their water, we give them their power, and they just sit in there in the Gaza Strip and fire rockets at us. And now they're pretending that we're killing their civilians, when in reality the IDF is engaging in incredibly targeted airstrikes against Hamas bases. I'm not even going to show the TikToks. I have it here. It's literally like Israeli women, and they're painting themselves up like there's been a bomb that's gone off in front of them, and they're doing like over exaggerated crying motions where they're pretending to be effectively like Sandy Hook. It's like, that's it. It's like the Sandy Hook people. Yeah. Imagine if like there was a group of women who really liked Alex Jones, and they were like, hey, Sandy Hook kid challenge, and they take their kid and they're like, here, we're gonna make you look like one of those crisis actors, and they like make it so they have a fake bullet hole in their head with like red makeup or something, and the kid like pantomimes like being dead or something. That's what is happening. And anyway, the reason I'm saying all of this is because this isn't just some errant offhand like cracknut Israeli conspiracy theory. This conspiracy theory was posted by the @Israel Twitter account. They've since deleted it, but that doesn't undo it. Fake news alert. The devil works hard, but Gaza's film industry works harder. Meet Saleh, terrorism supporter, singer, and actor. You may have seen Saleh a lot recently because he has miraculously been everywhere. Where have you seen this rhetoric before? Here's a video of Saleh celebrating Hamas rocket launches at Israel. I'm not even going over this. Here's another video of this star on his deathbed a couple days later after an alleged airstrike. Notice anything strange about the machines behind him? Most of the machines are disconnected, and the ones which are have fake stats. That's the @Israel Twitter account, and that is just Sandy Hook rhetoric. Literally. It's like, look at, here's my evidence that there are crisis actors. I saw a video of this dad whose kid was killed at Sandy Hook, but look, 2 years later at this other thing, here's a guy who looks kind of the same. Those two photos weren't even the same person? No, they weren't. But like, yeah, obviously. Israel has been engaging in this protracted propaganda campaign directed mostly at us. If you take a look at the @Israel Twitter account, it's almost entirely dedicated to like, God, these like, didn't I reply to one of these? Let me find it. It's just incomprehensibly evil. Let me find that one. Just let me find it. Oh yeah, here we go. This one's an immediate banger. Okay, from the @Israel Twitter account, they who must be named. Hamas equals ISIS, and it's Voldemort. It's an AI image of Voldemort shocked to tears as he sees what Hamas has done to Israel. That's the level we're on at the moment. I think they did one with Thanos as well, where it was like, let me see if I can find it on their account, where it's like, yeah, right after killing half of all living beings in the universe, he saw what Hamas did in Israel. I can't find it. Whatever. Voldemort would be 100% pro-IDF here. Yeah, of course, obviously. Though J.K. Rowling is like a massive Zionist because she's generally evil. So, like, obviously, yeah, that tracks. The ISIS leaders view Hamas as an inevitable enemy. Yeah, no, Hamas is not. The only okay, like, all of the propaganda shit that they're posting, all the, like, the lines, the shit they're going for, all the rhetoric that they're employing are meant for Americans. People pointed this out. You know, like the Israel account posted this as well. Some of you have a short memory. We don't. 07/10/2023, which in America, this is July 10th, 2023, not October 7th, 2023, which is weird because if you take a look at all the shit they've been posting, of which there's plenty of corpses, so I can't just scroll through it, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, it's miserable. Like the clear effort here is to try, like desperately try to keep Americans believing that it's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel. And the reason they're doing that is because they're aware of the fact that the only reason Israel can get away with this is because the Western governments back them. If Western governments failed to support this, just flatly called them out, and the politicians knew they could do that without incurring like the wrath of their voters or whatever, it would be over for Israel. It would be over. Because again, they're nothing without us. Nothing. They're nothing without us. We could do anything at all to stop them. We have all the power in this situation. We're the United States of America. It's insane. I guess to run flat on just ways to repeat over and over how evil this all is. It's just frustrating to see this all play out in real time, you know, sleepwalking towards oblivion. The most obvious genocide ever is happening. Like the most objective genocide imaginable is taking place. It's so clear and obvious and transparent. And it's just, we just march towards it, you know? And this is, you know who else is going to suffer? There are two primary groups that are suffering from this. And the first is, of course, the Palestinians. The second is global Jews, because what Israel is doing here is massively anti-Semitic. Israel is screaming from the top of its lungs, as loud as it can, "We are Jews. Jews are us. Everything we do is what Jews do. Criticizing us is criticizing Jews." And a consequence of that, and Israel being massively evil, is a huge backlash against Jewish groups across the world. Already hate crimes have risen. People have doubted this. Why would you? Obviously hate crimes have risen against Jewish people. Israel is doing monstrous shit and screaming from the top of their lungs, "Hey, by the way, we, the representative of all Jews in the world, are the ones responsible for this." Jews are going to suffer massively from this. Globally, it's going to be really, 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 really bad. And Jews already suffer from hate crimes enough. They don't need the help. It's miserable. This is why it's especially important for us Jews to speak out against this. Yes, I fully agree. And to the credit of the American Jewish community, they have protests from American Jews against what has been going on in Gaza have been, well, certainly louder than they were in previous years. I remember seeing, was it in a government hall or was it in a train station? There was a great big protest just earlier today. There's also not enough Jews calling out Israel, though. It's not the responsibility of Jews to call out Israel. It's everyone's responsibility. Don't put that burden on them. That's the problem. Ah, yes, here we go. Grand Central Station in New York, which, as we all know, is the real Israel. Quite a lot of people. You know, I will say there is some good news, and it's that I don't think Israel's propaganda is working that well. If you take a look at Twitter, Hitlerville, not great. If you take a look at Twitter, basically every post from Israel and from Netanyahu is getting ratioed. The protests against what Israel is doing have been quite a bit larger this time than they were in previous years. It's still not like enough, not even close. But I think that Israel is going to lose the propaganda war here. I don't think they're going to be able to. Keep in mind, they've already killed dozens of humanitarian aid workers and UN workers and journalists. I think that, they're so indiscriminate here. I don't know if they can escape the consequences of their barbarism. It sucks that celebrities are retarded, though. Well, a lot of celebrities are very wealthy and sheltered, and a lot of them are Jewish, because, Hollywood does have a lot of Jewish people in it. And very much like with Scientology, there has been a protracted effort by Zionist groups to kind of groom celebrities into a pro-Israeli position. Because, celebrities don't give a shit. They're, super wealthy. They're detached from reality, whatever. But much in the same way that Scientology does, it's like, oh, if we want to promote our cause, one of the best ways to do that is to get celebrities on your, on your side and bring them over. I'm an ex-Scientologist and it's rough. Jesus. Is the term Zionist appropriate to use in mixed company or public? I personally do not think that we should cede the term Zionist entirely to the anti-Semites. I think that if your criticisms are principled, listen, Israel has made itself easier to criticize now than it ever has been in all of its history, save for perhaps the Nakba, all the way back when it was formed. If you say I am an anti-Zionist, and then you say, hey, because of all the genocide they're doing over there, I think that's a very defensible position. See what they linked? It's funny. Is any of this funny? Oh yeah, I saw Amy Schumer has been insane about this, but nobody liked Amy Schumer to begin with, so that's fine. Israeli propaganda is seems to be very successful here in Germany. Yeah, well, you guys are so apologetic. Yeah, unfortunately, because a significant number of Nazis are going to benefit optics-wise from this because they're going to disingenuously frame their anti-Semitism as pro-Palestinian sentiment. Jackson Hinkle, I think, is the #1 most viewed account on Twitter right now, though I think a lot of that is bot spam. The pattern of his growth certainly seems to be bot spam. So that's going to be a big boost for them as well. By the way, if you're ever arguing with a Nazi who thinks that the left is controlled by Jews or whatever, the left and cultural Bolshevism and all the shit we do, can you ask them why it is then that the left is uniformly anti-Israel? How does that track? Because that's the main conspiracy theory that Nazis have about leftists, that leftism and progressivism and liberalism are all Jewish conspiracy theories to weaken the West by introducing degeneracy into our culture. So why is it then that left-leaning people, basically completely uniformly, with very few exceptions, are rabidly anti-Israel? You know, how does that track? Ask them for me. I'm curious. Please explain why the U.S. and West support Israel so hard. Logical Pretzels, you've been here for multiple such explanations. Can we take a look at Fetterman flushing his career down the toilet? Yeah, Fetterman seems to be a really big Zionist, which is weird, but like, okay, I guess he's not cool anymore. He's been like really posting about it. Yeah, somebody spray painted "Free Palestine" on a high school wall, and Fetterman said, "This is reprehensible. The only thing that belongs on a wall right now is this," and it's like the kidnapped Israelis in Gaza or whatever. Which f off. See, he's got this on his wall. This is stupid. You've seen people being like, "Bro, why are you tearing down these kidnapped Israeli people posters in your college campus in Michigan?" It's like, why'd you put these up? What, you think Hamas has a tunnel that leads all the way over to here? Like, why'd you put these up? And the reason they put these up is, of course, propaganda. In reality, you know, we could have 100 times as many posters for all of the dead Palestinians, except wait, because Gaza is a prison camp, we don't have photos of all of them. There were people who were born, lived, and died in Gaza who will never have a photo taken of them because the shithole they were confined to by Israel is so low tech compared to the state oppressing them that we don't even have full documentation of their existence. We couldn't even provide photos of everyone who was killed. They also put these up so they can film people tearing them down. Yeah, it's just a propaganda game. It's just a propaganda game. Sickening. Sickeningly evil. This is insane. The Israeli right is currently trying to pass a law that will authorize the police to shoot Israeli protesters of the war. Is that true? Breaking news here. The police promote live shooting against roadblocks and troublemakers. This is Google Translate, by the way. So, in the evening news at Con 11, it was reported the police are promoting the move out of fear that during a war, Arabs in Israel will block IDF convoys. Ah, yes, there are a good number of Arabs in Israel, and I guess they're like, well, we should be able to kill them too, because what a genocide has to involve purging all the Arabs within our borders, not just the ones that are held up in the Gaza Strip. Of course, of course. The police and the Ministry of National Security want to allow the use of live fire against rioters who block roads during an emergency. This is in preparation for the possibility of a campaign in which Arab Israelis will block roads for IDF convoys to pass through, and is a lesson from the Guardian of the Walls. Hey, remember when Tiananmen Square became like a decades-long symbol of Chinese authoritarian repression from like blocking military movement, and now Israel's like, yeah, what if we could just kill people who are in front of our tanks? Took $250,000 from pro-Israel special interests, according to Open Secrets. Nice. Super cool.